So today I have Effie with me, who does product for the gaming vertical here at Trilitech. And topic of discussion today is Trackmind. Trackmind is a game that Effie will talk about. I won't take the stage and speak about his little baby. I'll just do this little intro and ask him a few questions about it so that you guys can get to know more about what the product is and how the game will evolve. So, Effie, why don't you introduce yourself?
Of course. So I'm working as a product manager gaming in Trilitech, and I'm mainly busy with basically helping various games in ecosystem, whether it's our partners or indies. At the same time, I'm mainly working on gaming infrastructure such as RSDK for Unity. And then, of course, there are little side projects just like Trackmind on the way as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Effie. I think we have been doing these spaces for so long now. I think he's a recurring guest for a reason. It's fun to talk to you, Effie. So let's start with a question that I've played Trackmind. I know what it is, but for the people here who don't know what it is, or the people listening back who don't know, let's maybe go into what it is. I remember my first time playing it. And I remember that I was the first person in the Trilitech office that got first place ever in Trackmind, which is probably one of my biggest achievements so far in my career.
Yeah, so the way I'd like to describe Trackmind is more than an experience than a game, because, when you say a game, people usually expect big things. Trackmind is a big thing, but it's vertically deep. So it's it's basically an experience where we are talking to an AI, where you are making decisions on a simulated race. You're acting like a racing team manager, and your decisions basically give you certain results, and depending on the results, you get a certain reward. I think this was a really important milestone for us, as it's a very important piece of structure. Besides the experience itself, how engaging the experience is, there is this workflow where when a user comes in a matter of seconds, they have their wallet created, they play the game, and they have already minted the token when they finish the game. So overall, I think great experience and a great piece of infrastructure.
All right, amazing. So walk us through what Trackmind is. So when you go on the website, which is trackmind.tech, what do you do?
Yeah.
What's the game?
First of all, before I explain how it is, my biggest expectation from a product perspective is when you click the website, you should be able to tell what the game is all about. If not, I failed as a product manager. That's one thing, but I will still explain it. So when you start off the game, first of all, you have to make decisions based on the track that we generated and given to you. Basically, decisions like your vehicles, your cars, downforce, or the tires that you will choose depending on the weather and the track and so forth. And then after we make decisions, we start the simulation with your given decisions, and then the algorithm of the AI basically randomizes other variables in the race. For example, it's you have a luck probability of something bad happening in the race. Also, depending on your starting point, that's another variable, and so forth. And depending on how well your decision making is, you get a result in the end. You get a certain position, and then depending on your position, you get a certain reward in form of a token. And then basically you just click OK, game finished, and then you already have your token in your wallet. It's actually that simple on the front end, and it's actually the important part for me from a product perspective, that it's so simple and so engaging that it resulted in high activity with almost no marketing. So
Yeah, so you've been a part of building similar games before, Bargainer.ai and also Convince the Bouncer, right? How did the learnings from those games sort of come into Trackmind, and what are the biggest learnings from those that you took with you when building Trackmind with the team?
As you said, I think two of the previous games were not as advanced as Trackmind, to be honest, and they were basically just baby steps on achieving something that could be really interesting for everyone. I think the biggest learning was on the game design side. On Bargainer and on Convince the Bouncer, it was really hard to first of all, not letting it hallucinate. So you could basically gaslight the AI on many occasions, which you can very, very rarely can still do right now, but it's quite, it's not as often as it was. I think that's the first learning. We really optimized it this time. And a second thing that we learned was the difficulty of the game. So the other two games, on a first glance, if you basically live in a cave and you don't have any internet connection besides the game itself, it was a bit hard. But as soon as you went on platforms like Reddit or Discord, and you could basically replicate others' answers and win the game. But in this game, since there are more than 15 different variables in one simulation, it's really hard to get the same results. So what we estimate now on the limited availability of the game, which is we can increase, there are over 3,000 unique game scenarios. So this was also an important learning for us, I think. And then the third thing, the last, is the user experience is quite different than what we did before, as well as some security measurements we have in the backend. So I think the first two games helped a lot in that sense.
I remember when I first tried Bargainer and then later on Convince the Bouncer. The first thing I did was always, as you said, I tried to gaslight the AI into giving me what I wanted, essentially. And the first thing I tried when I got to try Trackmind for the first time was that I wanted to try the same thing, but obviously it didn't work, which was really interesting. And I think that was a really big step in the right direction for these type of things, with the 3,000 different simulations that can happen within the game due to all of the variables. So I guess, why did you build Trackmind? Let's go into that. I think that's a nice segue.
Yeah, I think that's also a really important perspective. So first of all, the best thing about Trackmind is thanks to our amazing team. It took, less than 2 weeks to build this completely. And, keep in mind that no one really worked in this full time, including me, because as we have lots of going on and then quite a busy schedule in True Tech. So first thing, that it was fast and cheap to build because of two reasons. That, like, first one is that we have an amazing team. And then the second thing is that we already had different pieces of infrastructure that we could combine. And then, of course, we had, two other games that we tried before that we had great learnings from. And then the second thing is this infrastructure is valuable, not only for gaming experiences, but basically any experience. If someone wants to build a similar thing in Tezos ecosystem, let's say, I'm just thinking of random examples. I have a can of Coca-Cola in my mind because it's on my table, basically. So if Coca-Cola comes today and says, we want to build an experience on Tezos where people can play a little game and gain a reward, like, I don't know, you talk to a chatbot, with the chatbot, I can also basically allow image generation. And let's say you try to generate a purple can of Coca-Cola when you're talking with the AI, and AI is not letting you, blah, blah, blah. If you get to purple one, you get a special collectible. It would probably take us, about 5-6 days to go live if everything goes well with their, visual approvals and so forth. So what I mean is, we right now have a working infrastructure that is perfect fit for people that are not much knowledgeable about crypto, and then it's so easy, it's so modular.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
That we can integrate it in a matter of days, or if it's something even simpler, maybe hours. So I think this is the biggest win for us, because as 3D Tech, our main aim is adoption. And I think having basically almost drag and drop sort of infrastructure is really, really important. And this is something we achieved with Trackmind. And then the second thing is, this also allowed us to experiment with different user flows. I don't know how many of you know this, but we rolled out actually different workflows in terms of user login. UI has changed several times on purpose. So we have also gathered some important learnings there, but to talk about them, I want to wait another 2 weeks to get more data in. But overall, to summarize, two things. First of all, infrastructure that we can offer to partners and builders on Tezos. And the second thing is great learnings from it.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's one really interesting thing when we spoke about this on an unrelated space before, is that someone asked you the question of why include a token? Does it even matter? And I think your answer was really good. And I think that the people listening here maybe missed it, or maybe wasn't aware of that space happening. So do you want to share that again? So basically, why is there a token at the end, and what function does that serve?
Basically, to recap, someone asked, FA, it doesn't make sense that you use NFTs and tokens in the rewards of this game. Why did you do it? Because they have no utility. So my answer was two things. First of all, our experience on Trackmind is no different than any other mini game or experience that you will play online, right? Keep that in mind. Second thing, getting an NFT is much cooler than getting a random JPEG that the only way you can actually keep it as a memory is saving it to your gallery and probably forgetting about it or screenshotting it. Like this is a horrible experience. So my thought, like this is coming from a game developer, by the way. I'm not talking from Trilitech FA perspective, to be honest. I'm going to reward something digital to someone as a memory from this great experience. Like, tell me any other infrastructure that I could use, right? It's a one-time experience. You play and you get out. I am not making people download anything. This is nothing on Steam. Otherwise, I could try using something like a Steam achievement. Why not? But this is a one-time experience. So the best way forward is creating a wallet for users silently, and then basically rewarding this NFT to them. So I think this gives more value, or at least perception of value to the user, to be frank. And then the second thing, our idea was always, this will be a quick game, this will be a small game, but we will try to push this organically with the help of the Tezos community and our socials. And if this game does well, I want to keep doing something with it. So right now, over 7K people have minted tokens. And basically, there are two directions with the tokens. First of all, if we, as in Trilitech, we want to build a sequel game, we want to build a second game, or we want to create a new mode in Trackmind, I can basically token gate these modes. Just like many years ago, before digital games gained so much popularity, when we had CDs and diskettes, basically the same would happen, right? You token gate a game by, you have to buy a game key, or you have to buy a game CD or disc, whatever. So we can replicate that token gating with the rewards. That's the first thing. And then the second thing, again, Trilitech's biggest aim is adoption. And if a game developer comes to Tezos and says, oh, we want to build a racing game, then I think what's easiest that they can do is, if you have a Trackmind NFT, you can, I'm just randomly naming out features, but if you're a Trackmind player and you have this reward, you get 20% discount from our game. Or if you have a Trackmind mastermind, you can unlock this special skin in this game just by connecting your wallet. So this is an important, I think, piece of tech in terms of longevity. If you want to build something on it, you can. Anyone can. Or if you want to use this as a free marketing resource, you can. Like, this is also something that I really love about, right? Because you can directly target the users that are interested in racing, and it's basically public on chain already. So those wallet addresses are already interested in racing. So why not utilize these rewards, or basically these public information? So I think overall, this was the reason that even though if I wasn't interested in Web3 at all, I would still do it.
That's really interesting. I'm really blown away by the 7K users working with you, FA, knowing how little time you spent on this compared to everything else you spend on. FA usually runs around the office looking stressed with headphones on all the time. So that's really impressive. So I have two questions. I'm debating in my head which one to pick first, but I think basically let's go with a more broad one. So how do you maintain one of these games? Because I assume user retention might be a bit of an issue. As you said, it's a one-time experience and you get it as a memory of that experience. But is there things you can do as a product manager or coming from a game developer perspective that you can do to increase the user retention?
Yeah, so if I wanted to increase user retention, I would definitely, put more resources of it, especially, time and workforce resources. And I would, build kind of a more engaging game rather than something just text-based. But when it comes to maintaining it, if you are wanting to keep going in the same vertical with the less effort possible, I think the beauty of using the AI is really, really great here, because just so I told you, we have a few tracks unlocked right now on purpose, and adding 10 more tracks, which would basically mean multiplying the game scenarios by 10, would probably take us about, 30 minutes. So in terms of live ops and adding new content, it's amazing, because when you are in a game studio, let's say building a casual mobile game, having new levels, adjusting them, or doing live ops is very, very resourceful. It's very resource taking and expensive work, both in terms of financials and time that you need to devote to it. So I think that's why it's also nice to have this AI infrastructure that you can basically utilize to make mini games. They are really easy to expand if you want to expand the same vertical.
All right, that's really interesting. I love hearing the perspective from your perspective, because I come from a background playing way too many video games and loving them, and just thinking from a user perspective. But it's really interesting hearing your perspective from coming from not only a user perspective, but also a person who's been working with games for so long and have built successful games. So how Trackmind will evolve over time, and also how do you think that the learnings from Trackmind will impact what you do next?
So I think that's a great question, and again, I think we will be able to give you a more clear answer in the next 2 weeks, because we will keep monitoring the game and monitoring the data to understand whether it will make sense to build more on top of Trackmind. Meanwhile, I think you including, we will be chasing more activity organically and do whatever we can to push the game into F1 communities online, which might, change the momentum of it. And, if it's something that we are happy with, and if we feel and agree that as the gaming team or in TrueTech in general, that there is a momentum that we can build on that would result us to have more new wallets created in the ecosystem, I think we would build or enhance the game or improve it and extend it. That's why we are already having different plans different mitigation plans to use the existing rewards. But I think I'll be able to clarify it more after a couple of weeks. And then the second thing is, the first thing is, of course, the learning, the feedback that we have collected from different people and the sentiments that we have received so far. And then having this infrastructure in our product stack, I think it will be a huge enabler for us. I'm seeing Kyle here from our sports team. I think it could be a help of him as well, as he is in touch with many great partners, having great conversations. And I feel like having this experience under our belt could also help us market Tezos easier to them.
Just so I understand what you mean, you see a possibility where essentially TrueTech could utilize on partners that Tezos has when building these games in the future.
Brands are always looking for the next big thing, right? They're always looking for the next big hype. When crypto markets was better, it was NFTs. I think it still is for brands that actually have good use cases. And right now the trend is AI. You've probably seen the stupid Chrysler bot. Hilarious. Having ran a business on my own as well, they will have interest in AI for a while. And basically, we have something that combines digital collectibles and AI with a very smooth and nice experience for everyone. It's something that we can build in a matter of days or hours. So this is just a strong selling point of Tezos in general, if you ask me. And this is why I really wanted to build this.
That's really exciting. I think that people listening as well find that very exciting. FA, I don't have any more questions on Trackmind. I think we've spoken about this numerous times now. I think the people here don't have any questions either. Otherwise, they can always reach you in the Tezos Discord server. But do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to say to the people who are listening now or listening back? Where should they try out the game? Or speak your mind?
I think the last thing that I want to add is, again, we will see if the momentum keeps going. We will keep tracking the game and how it goes. As I always say, if you have any racing fans around you, please send the game to them and get us some feedback. I think we are really, really hungry for feedback so we can bring this product stack to perfection so that we can utilize it in the upcoming weeks. So yeah, again, I want to thank everyone who already played it, made lovely comments or bad ones, which are actually more important than the lovely ones. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in and then supporting us along our journey.
Thank you, Effie, for coming. And if anybody here wants to try out the game we've been speaking about, it's trackmind.tech. And you can try out the game and you can see if you can get to first place. It's quite tricky. But other than that, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks for listening. It's been fun.